Welcome back in. Hope everyone having a great weekend. Jason Priester, allclemsontigers.com, here today to talk some more recruiting with you guys before we get started. Just want to remind everybody, if you would subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. We would very much appreciate it. Clemson gets a big commitment today. Four-star Corian Gipson out of Lancaster, Texas. This is a guy Clemson's been in on for quite some time now. Visited back in the spring for the spring game. He was back for the big official visit weekend. Um, you know, as the further we've gotten into this thing, the more buzz there has been surrounding Texas. Um, there has just been a ton of Texas buzz in this recruitment. There's been a little Ohio State buzz too. He took an official visit to Ohio State back in June as well. Um, not sure I was ever buying that. Not sure anybody ever thought they were a legitimate threat here once we got to the end of June. This has always appeared to be a Clemson Texas battle, and the only question for me was, could Clemson finish? Gipson was a guy I thought would commit after the spring game. I think he was close then, based on some things I've heard. I thought he was a guy that could potentially shut it down after the big official visit weekend and decide not to take any more visits. Didn't play out that way, but I thought there was that possibility. Um, you know, Turns out he took it well on into July. A lot of that buzz surrounding Texas has to do with the fact that he's got a couple of good buddies that are committed to Texas in this current recruiting class. I think Texas has done a phenomenal job of recruiting him, man. Steve Sarkisian's been heavily involved in this thing, and Gipson's a Texas talent. It's not always easy to pull those guys out of state. But one thing Texas does not have, that's Mike Reed. Mike Reed's one of the best cornerback coaches in the country, one of the best recruiters on the Clemson staff. He has a proven track record of developing his players, putting them into the NFL, and that's what a lot of these guys are looking for. Um, as much as NIL gets talked about, there are still a ton of kids out there looking for who is going to develop me and prepare me the best for the next level. And Mike Reed is one of those guys. Um, I think that's really what wins out in the end here, coming to play for a coach like Mike Reed. Um, Make no mistake, I think that Clemson culture played a big part here too, but I think the Mike Reed factor wins out. Um, Gives Clemson 16 total commitments in this class. They are now firmly entrenched inside of the top 10 of the recruiting rankings. This is if you're someone who really follows that kind of thing, where your team's ranked at in the recruiting rankings. This is a big get for Clemson because Gipson's ranked, well inside the top 100. I think he's number 64 in the composite. He's one of the top 10 corners in the country. Might be one of the top 5 corners in this class if we're being flat out honest. The rankings aren't always exactly right. His potential is that high. He's a guy that could come in and get some early opportunities. He's long, athletic, your typical Mike Reed corner, and he's blazing fast. He's going to bring a lot of speed to the back end of that defense. He's 6 foot. He's listed at 170 pounds right now, so he's going to need a little muscle once he gets here. But this is a guy who has the talent to come in and compete for playing time right away. He is just a big time addition to this recruiting class. As we get closer to the season, Clemson still needs one more end. Probably will take another linebacker. Obviously, you need a couple more offensive linemen, and it would not shock me to see them add a wide receiver later on. Having said that, Dabo Swinney likes to have most of his classes locked up by the time the season rolls around, and here we are, a couple weeks away from the start of fall camp. Clemson's getting pretty close to being done. They got a couple more I's to dot and T's to cross, but they're getting pretty close to being done. And the addition of Gipson absolutely gives you a very realistic possibility of finishing inside the top 10 of those recruiting rankings. Again, if that's something you like to follow. Don't forget, check us out, allclemsontigers.com. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we will see y'all next time.